This is Dr. John Tolson, and you're listening to the Disciple Making Podcast. It's interesting looking at the development of people at different stages in life, whether it's adolescence or whatever the stage is. But over the years, a lot for a period of time hadn't been done on adult development. But then a man came along by the name of Erik Erikson a number of years ago, and he developed the 6 stages of adult development. Stage number 3 was very interesting to me, and it was the stage called generativity versus stagnation. And the word generativity simply means productivity. So it's productivity versus stagnation. And I think the observation I've made over the years is when people get to be about 60, 65, 70, and some people 60, 65, and 70 look like they're 90, but that's what it is. But they often are sliding for home. They say, I've already done my part, especially people in the church. Let the young people take over. But then when the young people take over, they get ticked off about that. But anyway, so I think that in every stage of the 6 stages that Erik Erikson mentions, you either succeed or you fail in developing in those stages. But one of the observations that Erikson made was this: serving as a mentor or disciple maker can help you resolve the 3rd stage in favor of productivity or generativity. I think many people in the Christian life today, sitting in churches, are not developing and growing like God wants them to and means for them to. And I think a lot of times in churches, that leaders in our churches are really big into church growth, but very little into church health. And I believe that if you have a church that's healthy, the people are healthy, the church growth will automatically come. So let me leave you with this challenge as you think about your own personal life as a follower of Jesus Christ, and whether you really feel like that you are productive or you're stagnating. Dennis Rainey writes this: about a dozen gray-haired men sat at the table in a prestigious country club, all former executives who have been highly successful, leaders, champions, bright, intelligent minds. These were risk-takers who had led big lives, checkered with success and failure. Married between 45 and 60 years, these men clearly had plenty to impart to younger generations. As I prepared to speak to them, I couldn't help but think that their gray heads only added to their dignity. They had asked me to speak for 10 minutes about what family life, that's the work that Dennis does, was doing to strengthen marriages and families. As I unpacked what we were doing, I mentioned that I would be speaking in a gathering of executives a couple of days later about 3 qualities of a patriarch. What happened next was fascinating. It was as though I had touched an open nerve. For 45 minutes, they peppered me with questions, peeling back their hearts, sharing their disappointments, frustrations, doubts, and desires. They talked about how their adult children were critical of them, pushing them to the fringes of their lives. They were treated as unnecessary, except as babysitters, and they felt their family really didn't want their influence or their involvement. They said the only opportunities their church had offered were ushering, serving on the stewardship committee, and giving to the building programs. They lamented that the culture had become so youth-oriented. They felt emasculated, treated as though they were done and had nothing left to give. These men, who had once been kings in their families and their businesses and their communities, were for the first time in their lives uncertain what their roles should be. Like broken antiques gathering dust in the attic, they were without purpose. But as they interacted, I could see in their eyes that they longed to be challenged again. War-hardened and savvy, these sage soldiers wanted to fill their nostrils with the smoke of the battlefield and engage in the fight again. They really didn't want to trade their swords and armor for a 5-iron and a golf shirt. They realized that they were made for something far nobler than watching cable news in a lazy boy recliner. I sat there astonished at what amounted to grand theft. Men robbed of their glory, no longer dreaming because of a complicity of forces that had cruelly swindled them out of their courage to step up. These men have been left behind disoriented, and lost. So how about you? Are you productive? Or are you stagnating? You think about that. Thanks for listening to the Disciple Making Podcast. Check out our website at thetolsongroup.com and sign up for my weekly encouraging videos called Red Glasses Talks to come to your email every Monday morning. You can also find me at Dr. John Tolson on social media. I'd appreciate it if you'd leave me a review and share with a friend.